Hey everybody, hello and good morning, and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne, Disembodied Hands Queen, Quinny, Justin. No, not really. And John. I gotta rewrite my entire intro in my head. And then there's Empress Kiki. We'll promote her, except she's like currently conked out in the hallway. So we do not have a Kiki sighting this morning. We may have a Kiki sighting in a little while. We'll see. Yes, we're here. Yeah, Kiki if she shows up. She's not as eager to like get up on my lap anymore. So, and it's probably better that we don't, like encourage her to do that. But yeah, anyway, she'll come. If she comes over, I'll take her in. But she's like napping. So she had an exciting morning where she got to play with some dogs in the park on David's walk with her, and then she got home and really wanted to chew with me over breakfast, and so now she's like, oh, I've played and I chewed a chew and now I'm tired. She's having her old dog session like early. Hello. Oh, GB. Hey. Hi. How's the book going? Yeah, she's growing into an adult doggo. That's good. I can't wait. I can't wait for her to be more adult. Plus, she had a very, very exciting, 6 days just recently. So, but yeah. So I'm gonna work on greens today, and we're gonna work on the back. I've got an idea. I wanna Google. I always tell you guys to use the search function on your phones for this stuff, and so I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is and search for list of leaf shapes. I'm just going to Google leaf shapes. And I want a chart. There we go. I knew we'd get something. So when you're doing freehand, you want to choose something that you can break down easily into small shapes. So yeah, that's where I was, GB. That's where I was. Good deal. Yeah, it's first time author. It's all about the series. It's all about sticking in there. So I don't think I want to do the ginkgo leaf shape. The maple is way too complicated. Think about repeating that maple shape 60 zillion times on the back of a cape. The oak leaf is likewise just way too complex to use for freehand. You could use this one. It'd be kind of hard to figure out how to overlap it, the ginkgo, but I like these guys, because this you can simplify the little spikes, right? Pretty easily. And they're definitely leaves, and they're a little more exciting than these heart-shaped guys. So if we go over to the next one, it gives us a lot more detail. Common North American tree leaves. This is a very nice poster, actually. So again, we've got the little heart-shaped ones. We've got the leaf-shaped ones, for lack of a better term, and then we've got some more interesting ones. But again, interesting when you're doing repetitive freehand is not the best ploy. We could use that one. That one's not bad. The triple lobed one. But I'm kind of feeling like this one with kind of a, there we go. Can I get it close? Carolina Biological Supply Company leaf identification. There we go. Let's get there. All right, cool. I kind of like that one with kind of the serrated edge, but that kind of shape. I was hoping to figure out what leaf that is, but I can't read it because it's just too tiny. I can read some of these, but not that one. That's an aspen leaf there. And these guys are, let's see if I can manage to kind of read it. I don't think I can. Yeah, it's too hard. Like, it's way too hard to like get close enough to figure it out for some of these. I can read a few, but not others. I was hoping, hey Fancy. Oh, good. Yeah. Well, you can use that for like terrain ideas and painting ideas, Twisted Oma. So yeah, I'm thinking I wish I could make out what some of these were, because I think one of these more blade-shaped leaves is kind of what I'm aiming for. But that one's really the best one. Maybe I can find a different chart. Back. And I need to go back to my Google search. Back. Okay. Oh, hey. But that's going to have scientific names, yeah. But the scientific names might actually work for me because I can look up trees in that family, right? Like cordate leaves, ovate leaves. Actually, I think I will. Or elliptical leaves. I think cordate or ovate. I think trees with ovate leaves is our next. See, that's the thing. When you do Google, the cool thing is to take what you learn. Trees with ovate leaf shape. Go. Let's see here. Deciduous trees with it's egg-shaped. Haha, but that's exactly the leaf I wanted, so I guessed right, guys. Yeah, so we've got alder, birch, lots of birches. Wow, hornbeam. Yeah, and the reason I'm doing this, okay, so let me, not only to get like a good idea of a shape for that's almost exactly the shape I want, by the way, for my cape here, but what I want to do then is look up the colors of the fall color of these leaves and find a leaf that actually does have the color gradations that I want to do. Because remember, we were going to maybe do, start at the top with green and then go into fall colors and then maybe go brown at the bottom. I really would like that idea. I think we're going to do it on this one. So that's why I'm looking at these. Because I know a lot of these just go to yellow. So alder, birch, lots of birch, birch, hornbeam, alder, hawthorn. Yeah, you have plant knowledge, GB. Beech trees. Next page. I hate stupid search things. Copper beech. Interesting. Copper beech sounds like it might be fun. Pear isn't what I want. Gray poplar, lots of poplars. Wild cherry. So let's try cherry and birch fall color. Cherry tree fall color. Just because I like verisimilitude here. Oh yeah. So cherry trees, they get the reds and the yellows. So that's really cool. All right, cool. Okay, cool. You are a tree. I see you know trees, Chibi. Hello, Dogfather. And Boots. Yep. Yeah, I'm back from the Great North. Yeah, well, cool. The cherry leaves were close enough to what I want. Because I had that one right there with the serrated edges. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. The bird cherry is pretty, but very broad. But I'll end up with some sort of mutated cousin of these two shapes, I'm pretty sure. Because I don't want it too thin. And I don't need it too pointy. But I do want that kind of, that shape with the serrated edge. So yeah, great. Well, we can do what we want to then and actually be accurate. Good deal. I like that. I like being accurate. So cool. Yay. So kind of a heart shape. And that's cool. We're never going to see the tops of the leaves, really. So that's okay. All right, I got to get my colors out. We are using, I showed you guys how using the ancient oak and then highlighting with the Naga green actually gives you almost a color shifty kind of effect because of all the blue in the ancient oak. And when you highlight the Naga green, you add in more lemon yellow. So you go from a very warm green to a very cool muted green in the shadows, and it gives you that kind of shifty kind of thing going on. Let me grab my lemon yellow. No. Lemon yellow throws me off because my lemon yellow has a black cap. Kiki enough! There's construction on the block, so she's like been barking more. Hey, Inara. Ah, virtual gallery, purely for historical, they sell on eBay. Shh. Enough! 1 second. 1 second. Enough. Settle. Settle down. It's nothing to do with you. There's no one here. Stop it. Settle down. Settle down, Kiki. Good girl. Yeah, good girl. Settle down. Yes, do I have to take you into my office and close the door? Because I can do that. If you're going to bark. Yeah, I can do that. I can do it. I can shut you in. Nope. Yeah, you won't be able to hear anything. Sorry, guys. She has lately gotten big dog brain. And, yeah, settle down. Nope. Nope. There ain't nothing. No, there ain't nothing. And the silly thing is, I have like 2 fans on out there. So, like, she's got a shepherd bark. Yeah, hi. Hi, good girl. Good girl. Yep, you're going to be in here with me now. So none of that BS. Settle down. Yeah, I know. We're talking leaves because I want to do a leaf pattern, Thormel. Enough. Settle down. There ain't nothing there. Well, I mean, I guess that's the way they're doing it, McBoots. Like, and I don't know, like, I mean, if it's okay, it's essentially what are you actually trying to do, Boots? Like, sure, you can do that, but then you don't have any control over what you get. The quality of what you get. Enough! Stop it and settle down. Yes, good girl. No, it's for Freehand Agent Marvel. I'm trying to keep the Kiki from being a dumb butt. Yeah, Kiki's being a dumb butt. But settle down. Just settle. Go settle. Yeah, you were sleeping a moment ago. Go. Yeah, I don't know. That's one way to do it. It doesn't benefit the artist at all, though. Like, essentially, Boots, you got to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Okay, so everybody in the world, listen. Let's talk. Let's talk. So the first thing you have to do is to define your goal. Who are you actually trying to help? What are you actually trying to do? Are you trying to just become a clearinghouse for painted miniatures that has a physical gallery, which sounds like what those people are doing? You know, they don't really, like, they're not, like, contacting specific artists that they want to feature. They're just buying box art. A lot of really good artists don't do box art. So you're limiting your pool of artists that you're pulling from, and you're doing it that way. And what's the goal of that company, right? Like, probably the goal of that company is to showcase historical miniatures, just in general. It isn't necessarily to help the artist, though. I mean, they're essentially buying stuff up at, like, as cheap as they can get it, right? And then they're probably reselling online to cover their costs, which is not a bad business model, but you got to ask yourself, whenever you're doing anything, you should ask yourself, what's my goal in this? Like, who am I trying to help? Like, what am I trying to do here? Too many people jump into stuff without asking that question. It's the same thing with writing. It's the same thing with miniature painting, right? Who am I trying to help? What am I trying to do? What's my goal here? So, Kiki, enough. You jerk. Now she's going to be a jerk to make me let her out. Hold on. I'll give her a try now that hopefully the weird noise is gone. But you got to settle. And no barking. No barking. No. Settle down. Settle down or you are coming back in here and I'll just shut you in here. Like we do in The Maids Come. So yeah, I mean, there's other ways to do it. Contacting, developing relationships with the artists that you admire, letting them know what you're doing, figuring out like a business model that will help the artist and help you. you know, but it's what are you actually trying to do, I guess, is like, I'm not going to do, I talked a lot, Thormel, when we started talking leaves about why I would not use an oak, not use a maple. When you are doing freehand on 28 millimeter, you can't do anything really complex. You're going to drive yourself nuts, and it probably, because it's so tiny, the shape isn't going to translate. Oak especially isn't going to translate real well, or anything like that with a lot of lobes. That's just going to essentially not, it's just not going to visually be clear because there's going to be a lot of wiggly lines. Yeah. So you just want to essentially showcase. So your goal, and so, yeah, okay. So you're trying to essentially promote awareness of miniatures. In that case, the model for that historical miniatures company probably will work. That will work. Because then you don't care much about what you've got. You just want to, buy up some box art and some stuff that's available, and make it seen, right? What that kind of model is probably not going to do for you is build good relationships with miniatures artists. I mean, I may be wrong on that. If you get a lot of publicity, then it may be worth, you may attract the attention of artists who want to work with you. Yeah, so, hold on, I'm scrolling. Right, okay. Yeah, exposure to the hobby, I get it. Yeah, artists do care about credit. Yeah, they do. Right. Yeah, right. Well, but I mean, essentially you can, right? You just said it. I'm trying to showcase an amazing hobby. There you go. You've done it. There's your pitch. There's your elevator pitch. Yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it should work. With what you are trying to do, that model seems like it should work. And you also already have an example in the real world. So you've got proof of concept, right? They've done it. How long have they been doing it? Probably quite a while, right? So, so you've got a good proof of concept that what you want to do will work. That's great. That's like more than most startup business owners have sometimes. So yeah. Okay, cool. Do you know where you want to put a physical gallery? Like, have you looked around? I guess it doesn't matter as long as it's a... I mean, you have to get... Yeah, you have to study, like, web advertising and stuff, too, but... But yeah, physical gallery is... the place is interesting idea. Where to do... But yeah, it's cool that you have kind of figured out a business model. That's great. The way that traditional gallery owners, by the way, art gallery owners do it, is that artists approach the gallery because they're interested in being featured. And the gallery owner essentially curates a combination of what they themselves like. Most of it is what stuff they like and stuff they think is commercially appealing, which is always like a question mark. Is it really? You never know until you try to sell it. So, yep. Figure out your minimal viable product, build that, get it going. Yep. Then branch out horizontally to workshops and stuff. Oh yeah, at least that many pieces. I mean, you should be able to accumulate quite a bit. Yeah, gallery owners, yeah, because they take a huge cut. Yeah, it's not actually a very good relationship for artists. And what David and I found, because we have we've bought art from galleries, but is that it's very no-no to ask how to find the artist themselves, because the gallery owner wants to protect their bottom line. So if you don't want to be that kind of guy, more power to you. Or gal. I mean, the artists do get something from it. They get the visibility without having to buy their own gallery space, right? And the very biggest name artists do buy their own gallery space and have dedicated galleries. Yep, exactly, Kariniko, exactly. Right, exactly, if they're a good gallery owner. Yep. Actually, that's, you know, yeah, it depends on how you want to, like, what kind of atmosphere you're looking to promote, right? Because, like, you could do it in conjunction with a game store, maybe. Like, right next to one. That would give you foot traffic, for sure. Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there isn't much margin on paints and high quality brushes, just so you're aware. They're very expensive at the base cost level. So you won't make a big margin on them, but you'll make margin, but not a lot. Yeah, because they're already expensive. Whenever you've got a really high quality item, it usually is pretty. It's hard to monetize that sort of thing, right? As far as you can make a little income from it, but you don't make a lot of income from it. But it's 90% in London. Yeah, Kerniko. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about gallery owners too. I mean, they're nice people and they like art. But the best gallery owners that I met were actually family members of the artists they mostly carried, and then they also carried some other artists. Like, those were the best people because they were a lot less they had a lot less higher fees, you know. They were more artist friendly because they started that way. It's very easy because you're so, especially with 2D arts, which is extremely competitive, even more so than miniature painting. It's hard to get your work in front of people. So right. Yeah, it could be. It'll be a fun, you know, Boots, it's going to be a fun adventure. Kiki, that's enough. It's okay. It's enough. What is that noise? Okay, now I have to actually investigate. 1 second, guys. Where is it, Kiki? Find it. Where's the noise? What's the noise? Oh, I see what they're doing. They're trimming the trees. Oh, it's okay. That's fine. No, it's valid. It's okay. I see it. Yeah, it's just a guy trimming the tree. You're okay. There's, our tree grows over the fence, and, our neighbor's lawn care guy is trimming down the branches. So she was legit. Never go to a gallery, ask for more than 40%. 30% is more realistic. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing with high fantasy... Hold on, just making sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, cool. High fantasy is I don't think it is a beat horse. Actually, the funny thing is, like, I think we talked about, right, that it's kind of, I feel like, an underserved market, at least with indie authors, but also with, like, it's out there, but it feels like people really want those mega books, those huge books, like Sanderson is doing. They want the epic, epic, epic fantasy times 6. All right, I got my colors mixed up here a bit, guys, just to start out. Want to do the front, finish the front as well. Yeah, the thing to understand, okay, so there's 2 schools of thought on this. One, high fantasy has been done to death. Everybody knows. Everybody knows what you're heading into with high fantasy, right? With epic fantasy. On the other side, though, is the fact that readers of epic fantasy want more epic fantasy. They want a lot of it. There are people who only want epic fantasy. It's all they read. In which case, they're looking for more of the same. They're not necessarily looking for something new and different in that genre. They want the familiar feel of their favorite genre with different details and new characters, right? Right. See, I was assuming you meant by high fantasy. I thought you meant epic. Epic is definitely its own beast, right? And sometimes people use that term interchangeably. So has the grand quest against the great evil been done to death? Yes, absolutely. Do people still want more of it? Yep. Which is good, because for people who have an epic fantasy inside of them, I have one. I totally have an epic fantasy living inside of me, waiting for when it's time to write it. Like we are happy to have an audience, right? So, but yeah, I'm interested in seeing that graphic novel. I do like graphic novels. Super, thanks, Boots. Yeah, I'll totally look it up. So first, let's finish doing some of our. I think the Kiki has calmed down. The person snipping the leaves has been acknowledged by Mom. So I've done 3 colors here. I've mixed some lemon yellow into my Naga to create this kind of chartreusey color. And now I'm going to see if I've thinned it enough. More well-written ones. Yeah, that's the challenge, right? Agent Marvel is like, not just finding the book in the genre you want, but finding a book with a writer whose voice really feels like you're happy, right? It's like I read a lot of, as you all know, I read a lot of mysteries. But like when I picked up Louise Penny's Inspector Gamache series and read the first one, I was like, this is it. This is the writer I've been waiting for. And she has 20 books out in this series, thank God. So yeah, there is totally that thing of not just like wanting an epic fantasy, but wanting an epic fantasy in the voice and of the type that most appeals to you, right? Because we're all very quirky. I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like well-written high fantasy. To me, a well-written high fantasy is also working with some original ideas in addition to the usual, right? The usual stuff. If I ever write my high fantasy series, it is a bit different. And I guess it depends, right? It depends on if they're doing the traditional like dwarves and elves thing, or if they're mixing it up. And of course, the characters matter too, right? Like, if you have a character who's really vivid, who really steps off the page, if your main character is like that, the whole book is going to feel more unique, because that person's like personality is more unique, right? But that's challenging. Not everybody can write. And that's not everybody's strength. Hey, Kiki, enough, please. Yeah, I know. It's a guy who's trimming the tree. I know. It's a very barky stream day. I'm so sorry, stream. It's a barky day. Come on. It's okay. It's just trimmings. Yeah, it's like your paw trimmings, only it's tree trimmings. I know, you don't like paw trimmings. Yeah, you're a good girl. Do you want to come up? Do you want to come up and say hi to the people? Come on. Good girl. Yay! We get a Kiki sighting after all. Yay! Some high fantasy does, Pendrake, or just some sort of facsimile of. Why there weren't more good books being published, the editor says, because they don't get that many well-written. I think these days, I think that's changed a little in Ara. Because and I've had literary agents talk about this on their blogs and stuff. But because there's so many online resources now that will help you become a better writer, given there's still a ton of bad writers out there, absolutely no complaint there. But I think there is a larger proportion. Like there are more. It's like everything has gotten more. You have more good writers, but you also have more middle writers and more bad writers, right? Well, how do you define high fantasy, Pendrake? Pendrake, epic fantasy is usually defined as a fantasy novel written with extremely high stakes, usually a battle between good and evil that definitely is a world-threatening, builds to a world-threatening conflict. Like, so... And usually more magic, but not necessarily, because Gurm's books start out very low magic, but they build to a high magic, right? So, yeah. So it's not so much the specific pieces on the board, like Tolkien's elves and dwarves and hobbits and orcs. It's more the whole battle between good and evil that threatens the fabric of the world, right? Yeah, and a lot of people have mimicked Tolkien's, obviously D&D. Yoinked it right out, right? Yeah, cool. Not a new idea, but a cool idea. Make boots. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. Yeah, and D&D worlds are taken directly, were long ago inspired by the traditional, Yeah, I would say so. Yep. So urban high fantasy or urban epic fantasy. And urban can do that. When it's a long series and you have a lot at stake, then it does build to an epic feel. Oh no. I have been brought the dog toy. Not now, Papa. Not now. Nope. I'm working. Yep. Do I have to exile you? Yeah, good girl. So yeah, it's interesting. If anybody has like the actual Google interest at the moment to look up the definition of high fantasy or epic fantasy, I think they're probably defined slightly different. High fantasy, if I recall correctly, is more magic saturated. If I remember my definitions. So I'm going to just do a general highlight on the back here. I don't know that I'm going to do the leaves here. I might, but I am going to just highlight it for now. It's harder to figure out how to do the leaf pattern up here, but we'll try it. I mixed a halfway color, by the way, between these two, right up here. You can see that beautiful forest green that we've got. Yes, that's true. Thieves' World is, and does Thieves' World start out a little lower magic? I don't remember. It's been so long since I read them. Yeah, she had a power nap and now she's go. But yeah, there's so many different flavors of fantasy. All right, so I've got that highlight coming up on there. I probably need to make sure I keep my shadows, not lose them. It's easy to minimize them on this. But yeah, I mean, Wheel of Time, epic fantasy, does not have orcs. I enjoy fantasy that has some callbacks to traditional like fantasy races and stuff, but skins them over and makes them something new and a little bit different. Kind of like we did with the D&D world that we created when I was doing little bits of that. Like, if you're going to use orcs, make them different. Give them maybe, give them a different type of cultural background. Give them, give them a different aesthetic. Give them a different motivation, right? Change it. Take something familiar and change it just a little to make it something new. Like, because we like our tropes. People love their tropes. And orcs and elves and dwarves, all the traditional fantasy races you could call fantasy tropes at this point. Everybody knows them, right? You know what to expect. So a little bit higher highlight up on the top here. Yeah, but they're different, right? Yep, make mine a double then. Yep. It was still fun though. Like, it doesn't, that's the thing about epic fantasy, is it doesn't have to be necessarily totally plausible, but it has to be internally consistent and it needs to have fun. It needs to be fun. But yeah, my epic fantasy world is a lot about trouble between the gods. So if I had to draw comparisons, I don't know. Parts of it were definitely inspired by anybody familiar. You guys have been reading fantasy, many of you, for a very long time indeed. Remember Fred Saberhagen's Books of Swords? Those probably inspired they had a big inspiration in my own epic fantasy world. Now, given if I ever do write anything in it, I'm going to rework it, because it's been a long time since I created that sucker, and I bet I could really make it better now. So we're going to get a little bit of this green in here. We're just going to bring up this part right here, just like right under the arm, but we're going to let it fade into shadow at the top and bottom. We want to make sure that we've got this little bit of highlight here showing through as well. I'm going to pop just a little bit of the brighter yellow down there. I don't remember. It's too long. It was the name that was too long. Yeah, the Book of Swords and the second and the third. Those really caught me when I was a kid. For some reason. Because I loved how the swords had different abilities and that they were pairs, and so I stole that from my world. But it's different. Every work of fiction or art is somewhat derivative, right? An artist sees somebody else execute on X, or they see something in nature, or they see, even read a book, and it gets them thinking about an idea for spinning off that. I think the best art is spin-offs, is jumping off points from something else that you see that mashes up in your head. I only read the first three, Pendrake. I didn't read any other Saberhagen after that. The first three were like the first, second, and third Book of Swords. Those were I didn't actually like his writing style, but I liked the world and the premise. So I didn't go on to read any other Saberhagen because I didn't like his writing style. I'm a little weird because when it comes to writers, I very much fall in love with a given world or set of characters, and it takes a real love of the writer's writing style to get me to move on to other series they've written. Anne McCaffrey, I'll do that for. CJ Cherry, I do that for. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's probably real dated now, Polly, but... All right, so when we've got, this is a little bit chalky here. Let me get a little bit, I feel like I need a little bit more. So let me show you the chalkiness. So it's just a little gritty looking. It's a little bit, just kind of like, as I bring it up, it's not being smooth. You'll get that sometimes when you're bringing up yellows or whites, thinning the pigment really a lot. There's an easy fix for it, is essentially just glazing, but sometimes it only looks chalky until you build up the color. It's often also that you're trying to layer a lighter color over a much darker color and it's just fighting you. So you can wet blend to get away from that, and that will give you a better transition. Again, often you're just trying to stretch it too thin. So if you come in and you build up the layers a bit more on your highlight, you'll see that chalkiness go away as you build it up to a solid color. Because I haven't over-thinned these. Over-thinning is another way that a lot of people get chalkiness with pale skin tones. So now, as I build that up, a lot of people are. That's where, because Europe has so many small miniatures companies, that's where the box art tends to be. Like, they've got the small boutique, like, companies doing really high quality resin pieces, right? That's where I think relationships come in, Boots. Like, talking to people and getting to know them even over email. Kind of describing what you're trying to do, asking them if they can give you a line on if they have any box art that hasn't been spoken for. Tell them you're very interested in buying. Ask them, what rates, you're generally looking at. Kind of figure it out. When you're trying to promote awareness of this art form, that's a pretty good motivation, and it will appeal. It should appeal to a lot of miniatures lovers, including company owners. Especially if you do things like, say like Chimera Picasso is like, all right, we'll work with you. Then having that in your gallery and making sure to say, compliments of that company with a link to their website, yada, yada. Making sure you give them a bit of advertising for working with you. Well, okay, it's how you build relationships with anybody. What I would probably start with is honestly just asking them what they think of the idea. Open conversation. Contact. Try to find out who the company owners are first. See if they actually have emails or Twitter accounts. Some kind of social media that you can engage with them on. It's going to take work. It's going to take legwork. There's a lot of legwork. Relationship building takes time. But it's not like you're going to launch this like right away. So you have time. I mean, it's all about just introducing yourself to somebody, high up at Picasso, Chimera, or wherever. The little guys are easy to reach out to. Telling them how much you enjoy their stuff. I mean, it's almost an excuse, Boots, honestly, to like, okay, here's an example. Creepy Tables is a guy in Poland who does really cool busts that are really kind of quirky and idiosyncratic in a lot of ways, but I really like them. So when I did my one seminar, that one 2-day seminar, the only one I've ever taught, I reached out to him and I'm like, hey, I'm a painter. I work for Reaper, but I also do my own stuff. And I really, really love your models. And I'd like to use them in a class. Can you cut me a deal? And he was totally friendly. He absolutely got back to me. We chatted a bit. He was really happy that I wanted to use his stuff for the class. And so he gave me a really good deal on a dozen busts. And, I worked that into my class costs and sent him pictures of some of the class works in progress and at the end. And it was cool, right? It's the kind of thing. But you don't have to be running a class to do that, right? You could just approach a company owner and say, hey, I recently ordered, buy one of their busts, take a look at it, take a look at the quality, paint it, and then engage with them on social media. Like, it's, yeah, I mean, because you don't have to pitch, right? You don't necessarily start by pitching. What you really, really need, it's like starting by pitching is like that person who walks into the club organization, random hobby club, and sees 15 different ways to do it differently, right? It's like, oh, but I'd like to do this. It's like, you've been here 2 days. So if they don't know you, if you haven't really engaged with them previous, they're going to think you're just some dude. You're just talking. You know, like, who the heck is this guy? Right? Yeah, creepy tables. He's in Poland. Well, if you're going to directly contact them, then you do. But you've got to, it's good if you can engage with their community. If they say McBoots, like out there putting up, you know, examples of their models that you've worked on, right? Work in progresses or a completed model, engaging on their social media, being present in the community, like figure out where they hang out. Do they hang out on Putty and Paint? Like, do the company owners, are they big on Facebook, right? Do they do a lot of Facebook? Then become part of that community. It's like, it's work. It's definitely work, and go to cons. Like, that's the other thing. Like Francesco, who runs Monte San Savino. Like, I didn't even know who he was. I went to Crystal Brush, went to Adepticon, and met him. And, like, then he really liked my model. And now he knows us. Like, he knows me. Like, when he sees me at Adepticon, he's like, Anne. And, you know, and he's like, you need to come to Monte San Savino. That's the kind of connection you want to build. It's just a person-to-person connection. And then when you know some people in the industry and have talked to them and, you know, you hit it off because you all love miniatures, right? Then talk to them. Say, hey, you know what? I want your opinion. I've got this weird idea and I don't know, like, I'm not sure how to execute on it, but this is my idea. Tell me what you think. Like, don't ask them for an investment. Don't ask them for anything. Just ask them what they think. But only after you've got that connection, right? Yeah, it's easy to put the cart... Right, but, you know, I know you now, right? So I would be like, if you wanted one of my models, I'd be like, well, I don't know what I've got, but maybe, you know? I'd at least be open to talking to you about it, right? But yeah, like, so... But I'm engaging with you, right, about it. I'm talking to you about it. I'm thinking about it. But for me, the reason I didn't engage more in the beginning when you first mentioned it was that I'm like, this is another guy with an idea. Let's see what he does with it. Because I didn't know you at first, right? But now you've been on my stream. So, and a lot of artists, Eric Swinson streams, right? You can just chat, just become a person to people. When you're just a name online, nobody knows you from 10 million other people. But when you talk and interact and, you know, make jokes and ask cool questions, then we start to know who you are. Hey, Slayer. But it's not a quick journey. It's definitely a building journey. But that, you should be happy about that because it really lets you feel out if this is feasible when you talk to other people. And they're going to have ideas about like how they would do it, right? And this is all going to be stuff that you can kind of file away and think about and you know, maybe make a pros and cons list of various things. And I don't know what your personality is like. I don't know if you're somebody who has to think about stuff a lot, if you're somebody who really likes to just jump in and act and hit the wall and just figure out how to fix it then. You know, the type of temperament you have is going to shape how you tackle this problem, right? And in what order. But if you're an action taker, yeah, I mean, don't reach out yet. Just become somebody to them. Like, have them go, oh yeah, Boots, I've seen him on our social media. He posts on Facebook. I really like that blah that he painted, right? But they have to know who you are before they start really listening. Otherwise, you're just another guy with an idea. And there's tons of those. Guy or gal. Person. But once people know you, then you share your harebrained ideas with them. then you may see some things. But yeah, I mean, are you in America? If you are, you should go to Adepticon because a lot of the Europeans come for Adepticon. A lot of the more famous painters. And you could talk to them about, you know, what they charge for commission. You might be surprised how little it is. You know, you might, you know, It helps if you can talk painting. It helps if you yourself are a decent painter. I don't know if you are. But if you're not, but you really appreciate it, and you're interested in buying a piece, then that's different, right? Then they're like, oh, okay. Because if you see value in their work, if you're able to intelligently discuss what makes their work good to you, that's something right there. It's like that, right? Right. More specifically, for the big names, it's just another person with an idea who wants me to do something for them, right? And when you get to be somebody like whose name is widespread enough, you do get a lot of people, who just want something from you, right? So you don't want to be that person. You want to be a community member who becomes very well known in a good way, in a positive way, and then you can jump in and start building, right? And if you're a person who really just likes to jump in, do action, like if you're an execution personality, like it seems like you are, because you're like, you're already, jumping out, meeting with people, stuff like that, make building your reputation in the industry the first action. This is why I miss Ed, because time was when Ed was still around, if some little tiny miniatures dude who had an idea for a company, like, just came into Reaper, Ed would sit down and talk with that person all day. Like, he would take time out of his schedule to go to lunch with random dude who wants to start a miniatures company, to talk to them about the business and the method and the organization and the everything. Like, that is so rare, folks. So rare. But yeah, if the only reason that you want to communicate with these people is that you've got this idea, then flip your brain a little bit and think about how cool it would be for you to be friends with all these people first. For everybody to know you, for like all the big painters to go, oh yeah, Boots, I know him, he's cool. That's your first goal. Hey there, Luca. Mwah! Love seeing you. Quindy loves seeing you go. But yeah, we're talking about a lot of things today. We're talking about epic fantasy and high fantasy and whether they've been done to death. And we're talking about an art gallery for miniatures, and if it's feasible, and how to go about starting one. Which really starts, I feel like, with building your own reputation in the industry as far as like engaging with people. And I'm not a very people person. Like my strengths are all in strategic thinking and stuff. But I've learned over the years that just being friendly to people gets you pretty far. Because you don't want to necessarily go into, if you want to build a good relationship, you don't necessarily go into it holding out your hand, right? But you don't even need having the money to execute is one thing, right? But I don't know if you've ever started a company before, because that's essentially what you're doing, right? You're starting a business. So probably, while you are working on building relationships in the miniatures industry, and it's a very small industry, Boots. Good. Yeah, that I could see it in Europe. Vegas is a good place for it, because it's quirky. It's quirky, and the new and unusual is like expected in Vegas. I'm amazed I didn't think about that before, but I haven't actually been there yet, because I don't gamble and I don't drink, so it's like, well. If David and I went, we'd go for like shows and restaurants, shows and dining, and probably some hiking around Vegas. Yeah, company fan pages. Yep. Yeah, advertising on it or that kind of business talk on most of the pages is a no. It's against their TOS or their rules, their community rules. And that's just it. Like it's against their community rules for a reason, right? Because nobody wants to be hit with that from somebody they don't know. I'm just trying to smooth out this blend, guys. Taking my Naga green and kind of trying to get it down. That's looking pretty good. I've got it maybe a little strong down there. I need a little bit here, back here. Be consistent. And the occasional massage. Sounds like a really good goal to me, GB. But yeah, I mean, and another thing you could do, Boots, honestly, if there is one that's going to pop up in Las Vegas, in our actual country, would be to go there and like say, you know what, I would love to do this, only, wherever, where, I don't know what part of the country you're in, Boots, but maybe somewhere around you might be a decent option. And you could say, hey, I'd like to do this, but I want to do it, near where I am. Do you guys have any tips? Do you have any, can I make an appointment? Is your manager willing to, give me a few minutes? Maybe do lunch, But again, and that might, if you can talk to that person, tell them that you're trying to create a business plan and things like that. Do they have any advice? Always ask people for their advice and their opinions. You get some real like doozies there. Sometimes you get information that totally changes your mindset about a thing. Just because you're coming into it kind of blind. And they've done it, or they've at least done part of it. They've started it, right, themselves. And so, and that metalhead miniatures. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Las Vegas Open, LVO. Because if there's a miniatures gallery that's opening in Las Vegas, the LVO people will know about it. Would be another reason to go to LVO. David and I have thought about it. I've thought about it. Because it's not far from us, relatively speaking. And it's always good to think about how you would react in that situation too. If you own imagine yourself owning your gallery and imagine the way you would want some noob who had no idea what he needed to do, right? Some random person coming in and talking to you, how would you want that person to approach you, right? If you were in their shoes. And do a little bit of intellectual empathy. And that could help. Oh, Richard. Yes, there should be at least one exhibit of the Gray Tide. Yes. Actually, if you were good, Pendrake, what you would do is you'd contact a sculptor. This would actually be cool. And I would actually contact somebody like Julie and Bob to do this for you. I would have them sculpt a miniature. I'd actually first find a concept artist, get a piece of concept art commissioned, have Bob and Julie sculpt it as a miniature so that you, and ask if you can exhibit the green afterwards. And then essentially create a display in the gallery showing here's the concept art. From the concept art, the artists adapted it to this little green putty thing, which was then put on a mold. Here's the picture of the mold, and then created a master here. And then that was, you can show the whole process, all the stages. Yeah. Because people don't realize that people are actually sculpting at that size, right? And nowadays it's rarer, right? So you could even do like historically, this is how it was done. And then but nowadays, Here's your concept art. Here's your 3D print execution. Here's your half printed model. Here's the model on supports. Here's the cleaning. This is the process for putting it on mold. That would be really interesting to people. Green Users is saying, what are you signing me up for? But actually, you know what? I hate to say it, but that sort of exhibit, Gurm would love that idea. Like, he wants more history about our hobby to be out there. George R. R. Martin, sorry. Like, he wanted me to, think about putting together a catalog of miniatures, just from the dawn of his miniatures history. And I'm like, Gurm, that is not my heart project. It is somebody else's heart project. It's not mine. He should just... But it's a lot of time, and it's something that I personally, I'm not passionate enough about. But yeah, anything that helps the history. Yeah, do you think it would be pretty cool? Right, but this is okay. But don't worry about that, right? Don't worry about that right now. Because by the time you've got a business plan and you've built relationships and you've done all this thing, you know what? You can put away $10 a week toward this and still have a decent amount of money saved up in 2 years. This isn't to go out and execute immediately. So don't let yourself stress financially about it. Do, if you're serious about it, or if you're serious about being an entrepreneur in any way, do start putting inside a tiny bit, even if you can only afford $5 a week or whatever. Just put aside a little bit toward your idea over time, every paycheck, right? Do 25 if you can do it, because you'll get more gratified as it builds faster. But start building a seed fund. Otherwise, you've got nothing and you've got to ask people for everything. Yeah, because this is why goal setting, and it's not necessarily more interesting, but think about it, Mick Boots. Okay, so that's in Vegas. How many people on the East Coast might be, or even around Chicago? I told you Chicago's a miniatures hotbed. Chicago's a great idea. How many folks who live in the East or Midwest and don't have the money or time or whatever to get to Vegas? So you never underestimate the fact that a lot of Americans would rather see something if it's within a few hours of their home rather than, a plane flight. Now you're getting comparisonitis. So this is also an entrepreneur's disease. I can acquaint you with this. Comparisonitis is well, so-and-so is already doing that so well, why should I even try? When the fact is that really it's your fear talking. That's your fear talking. Your fear is saying, oh, what if I can't do this? What if I don't do it as well as Mr. Dude in Las Vegas, right? Totally ignoring the fact that you will do something very different, right? Interesting and unique to you. You will interpret this task a different way. Not necessarily a better way, maybe an equal way, maybe a better in some ways way, but you'll never know unless you do it. You got to get around the comparisonitis. This is, okay, to give you an example, Boots, when I went to start my Patreon, I ran the idea past some miniature painter friends, and I got a lot of negative talk. I got a lot of the sort of thing of what you just said. Well, there's so many miniature painting Patreons out there already. Who needs another one? It's so hard to start up. It'll never work, right? It's that kind of talk, right? I don't want to see you try this and then fail. How will you ever be different or better than Ben Comets, right? Or Miniature Monthly? You can't think of that. Yeah, you can't let yourself go to comparisonitis. Other people doing stuff is not a challenge to what you will do, right? It doesn't diminish what you can do. But some of this stuff, the thing to realize is that some of this stuff is going to take a long time. And you've got to ask if your passion for doing it is enough to see you through there. For me, my passion for teaching painting and my passion for this hobby is one I've had now for over 30 years, right? With my writing, same thing. Like, my passion for writing, I've known since I was, I want to say, gosh, I started writing when I was even younger than 9. Like, I think I tried to write my first story at like 7. And once I realized that real books were actually written by actual people, I like decided I want to be a writer. I think around age like 10 or 11 or 12. You know. But then heading into all this, I mean, that was enough to sustain me and make me work on becoming a better writer. And a better painter and a better teacher. But then when it comes down to it, that's a whole different sort of believing, right? Now you got to put your money where your mouth is. Now you got to put your name out there and be ready to fail, possibly, right? The museum is called the Office of Collecting and Design. Interesting. All sorts of toys and miniatures things. Okay, so not just miniatures. It's also for toys. Which makes sense, right? Because the toy collection market is big. And there's a lot of money in it. Okay, so we're just polishing that up and looking. I like this. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, I like how this looks. This is really good. Oh, something happened at the facility and it's closed right now. Okay. Yeah, and you know what? That's the SEO on that name is a major flaw. So your first lesson, McBoots. Okay, get yourself a blank notebook or book and just start writing down things you learn. Like, the first thing you write down is, make my name SEO friendly. Right. It'd be way cheaper for you to buy a lobster for every person at ReaperCon if it was held here instead. Exactly, right. That's why, who cares if that thing in being in Vegas just means that, you know, people who can't get to Vegas or who are not interested in going to Vegas, you know, could be happy to find your particular gallery, right? So, if I were you, it sounds like you really are attracted to the thought of working for yourself, Boots, which is awesome. I laud it. I do it. It's taken me a long time to get here, but I managed it, and I'm trying to be better at it. So I totally endorse this. The best thing you can do is to start putting aside a little bit of money every week or every paycheck toward your dream. And every time you put that money aside, it'll make you feel good that you're working toward your dream. And your dream may end up not being this thing. You may put some time and effort and energy into it, and you may see a different door open for you. And that's cool, but then you're at least started on the road toward having a seed money to execute on whatever thing you finally land on that needs your love. And you'll know, like, just keep testing it. Like, sometimes we get excited about things and then we utterly lose excitement for them. And sometimes we get excited about things and, like, they turn into decades-long hobbies, like this has for me. Right? I have a great love for this community and this hobby. And even when I'm kind of on a little bit of a hiatus from painting, I still love it and I still love engaging with it. Although I did work on my Tyranids last night, guys. Oh, yeah. Well, and okay. And when you have that notebook for your business, make a list of your own assets and what you bring to it. Give yourself a pep talk. Point out the stuff you have. Working on websites in the past and SEO and having an understanding of how to use it well, that's an asset. It's an asset for your business, any business you start. So not only would you be able to do your own web work and do it well, but you'd also know if you had to hire out somebody to do it after a while because you're busy, you would know what you were getting if you were getting a good person for that, right? So you know what you're looking at. Yeah. It's small steps, like, and I say this understanding, especially after the Clifton Strengths thing. Everybody's strengths are different. So it might benefit you. It might actually benefit you, Boots, if you have the cash to take the Clifton Strengths test and see what your main superpowers are. Once you know, you can actually use that information to see what steps make sense for you. Like, if you are really an ideas person, but but executing is hard, then you know that you need to, lean harder on some things and you won't be as good at others, right? But if you're a real relator person where you really like to execute, then building yourself a set of steps and keeping yourself on task will be, a benefit. For me, I have my top strengths are strategic. So I'm very good at assessing options and then deciding what the best one is very quickly and by my gut. And another one is intellection, which means I think about things a lot. It also says I need to think about things a lot. When you know something like that, you can give yourself the time, right, to have those thoughts and figure out your next actionable step. But if you're an executing person instead of a thinking person, then you're going to want to just execute. So you just need to make a quick list of things that you want to look into and do things, right? Make action-oriented steps for yourself, because that's what your strength is. And you don't really need to take the test to figure this stuff out, right? You probably could see yourself if you just prefer to take action or prefer to think about something for a while. And you could probably see for yourself if you have a talent for relating to people and talking to people. Or empathizing with people. There's all sorts of different ways. All of us are wired differently is what it comes down to. So I don't want to give you too much business advice, because my business advice, for me, with my strategic and my intellection and my focus and my discipline, my personality loves to make lists. It loves to make comparison charts. It loves to think about things a lot. And then it loves to jump at an instinct from its gut and make the right decision. But I am one person and not everybody is wired like me. No, ideation is a great strength, but you need executing too. No, I'm a great my ideation. There is a strength for that. It's called ideation. It's how easily and well and frequently you can essentially iterate and come up with new ideas. And you understand that it's a great thing because so many people don't have that ability. Like, it's a real benefit to be able to come up with ideas, because then that gives you options, right? And you don't have to go to somebody else for those options. The more you learn, the more options you're going to see. But then it can get challenging if you don't figure out how you can get your brain to want to execute, right? Like how to rate those options, how to decide which one might be the best for you. And sometimes it's just, you just keep trying them until something works. That works too. As a writer, I love being an ideas person. I'm never out of ideas. Not ever. I got the idea for a paranormal romance series the other day, and I just about smacked myself. I'm like, I don't write romance. But once you are doing, you will get so many ideas, right? Once you're executing on stuff and things are doing stuff. But just because you can't afford the whole version of your dream right now doesn't make it any less valid, because there are so many things you can do to lay the groundwork for your dream. And those things don't cost anything except a little bit of time investment. Now, if you find that you are begrudging that time investment, if you don't enjoy getting on social media and interacting with other miniatures people and miniatures companies, like if you don't have fun with that, then maybe question, how you might be able to do it differently. But as far as engaging with a miniatures community, it is one way to learn people. If you don't like social media, then it's go to cons and talk to people. Interact. Introverts usually enjoy online more, but if you are the type who actually prefers in-face interaction, or at least enjoys it, then meeting people at conventions is a good alternative to social media if you don't like social media. I'm just going to block in some more of this Naga green, and then I'm going to blend it in. Do it with Bayou, and then you can be the next Alona Andrews. Oh, man. I need to create a world for this. I need to create my urban fantasy world first. Oh, Lord. There's too many books. Too many books, too little time, Kroniko. Authors talk about this. They're like, one thing that most authors do not have a lack of is ideas. Like, we have ideas for far more books than we can ever write, which is why I need to step up the pace. Looking forward to starting my next book because I'm looking forward to seeing, like, really how long it takes me to write a book these days. But yesterday I worked on, I told you guys I got my edits back from my editor on West of the Moon, and yesterday I got through the first 5 chapters making his corrections, and in general, it's pretty clean so far. So I actually was enjoying it. I was enjoying going through my book and improving it. Then he might want to get a business partner who does like doing it, Chibi. Although I did discover a social media platform at last that I enjoy, and it's Reddit, weirdly. I never ever was attracted to Reddit, but after I got on this self-publishing Reddit, I really enjoy it. I like interacting with folks and answering questions and learning stuff. And it's not like it's like an advertising thing, right? But you can still meet people and network on it. I've already met another YA fantasy self-published indie author who's getting ready to publish his first book. So we've been chatting and sharing notes, which is really cool. I like it better than Facebook, and I just don't like Facebook. Is he a cat? Oh, said you would be the best B-man ever exist. CEO to execute. Okay, so yeah, so you're more of an ideas and thinking guy person, and so you would need somebody to execute. Although, you know what, you can learn, you can fake it till you make it on some of those executing skills. But yeah, ideally then, maybe you reach for a business partner who's really good at execution. Be careful, there's a lot of kind of wonky people in the gaming industry. I hate to say this, but I've met a few of them. So, and that's where it's like biting the bullet and just meeting people in the gaming industry is a good idea, because when you know some of the more reliable sorts, they will warn you away from the sort of bad ideas sorts. But that comes with being a member of the community, right? If you engage with the community, learn who people are, you see what kind of reputation they have. Again, it takes time. Right, Kiki? It takes time. Woof, says Kiki. Woof. Yeah, there are wonky people everywhere. Yeah, I don't mind. I really, as someone who finally, I never would have thought, I kind of did think when I was younger that I would want to I wanted to work for myself, right? For me, that dream was entirely writing, right? But for people then who are like me, who would really like to work for themselves, I don't mind talking about what I've learned at all. Illegally small cat subreddit. Tiny rescued kittens. Aww. But then I'd be on there all the time and not doing my writing, Kerniko. But yeah, this community does rock. Absolutely it does. Hi, Keeker. Hi. Hi, it's almost time, huh? I'm giving her scritches. She's getting scritches. Hi, Scritcher girl. Good girl. Oh, I forgot to open my window this morning, Keeks. No wonder it was kind of close in here. That's all right. That's all right. Good girl. Good girl, Kiki. I'll be done soon. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying editing West of the Moon, and I can't wait to get that. After I finish my edit this time, I'm popping it over to my proofreader, and then the beta readers can read it. And right now, my beta team will also be kind of my ARC team, I think. I don't know. I'll be touching base with my mailing list to see if anybody wants to be an ARC person. Once I have the book actually ready to send out, I'll have to upload it to BookFunnel. Once I have a readable version. But yeah, I gotta start on that soon. I would love to have a few reviews in place on pretty much the first day. Hopefully y'all don't hate it. Yeah, totally. I'll keep you guys informed when I'm looking for people to get an early copy of the book to read and leave an honest review on the day it releases. Because that stuff really helps. And I'm looking at doing a lot of promotion. I'm looking at, this is the funny thing. I was actually on the Reddit yesterday, the self-published Reddit, and somebody was bemoaning how do you get a BookBub deal. And the BookBub is, for those who know, it's one of the big email lists. You know, you can sign up as a reader and they send you deals pretty much every day. And I am signed up and I actually do open the emails and I do use it to find like new cozy fantasies just to try out and stuff like that. And sometimes young adult books as well. But to get a deal as an author is a big thing because they have a huge list and it's supposed to do a lot for you, you know, like hundreds of downloads kind of stuff. But it occurred to me yesterday when I was talking to this person, I'm like, you know, I kind of wonder, even though BookBub gives you a huge boost, they're also super expensive because they have such a big list. And I'm like, I wonder if you could get the same effect, not all at once, but over time, by doing all the little email list services and like spending the same amount of money or less, right? Yeah, sit down and you know what? If you're an ideas person, McBoots, here, I'll give you another tip since I also am an ideas person. Just get out a blank piece of, like, I use cardstock, I use Bristol. I have sheets of white Bristol and colored markers. And I just sit down and I just scribble all my ideas down on these sheets. Like, and I mind map. I just do that. And when I do that, it's fun. My brain loves it. And I get a lot of ideas all on paper. Then I can take those and make a list, right? Oh my, Kuroniko. Yeah. But yeah, for people who are idea people, I think mind mapping, just spewing stuff in a fun way. I angle it all different. I write it in little circles and little boxes or just freeform. But it helps me just get a lot of stuff spewed out onto the page. And then when my brain runs out of that, then I can stop and kind of look at my ideas and put them in a structure. But because when you're an ideas person, sometimes frameworks feel constraining. So the more you can free up your brain to just ideate, the better. There we go. Okay, so that's getting there. You can see that it's hard to... They were not happy when you laughed. Haha. Oh, you're one of those people too, huh, Slayer? Yeah, us ideation types are fun. It's fun. So I'm going to take a little bit of my Ancient Oak and mix up a little bit of my Naga Green into it. I'm going to make a glaze, guys. When you get chalkiness or you're having trouble with layers, using your darker color can help. Because one, you're not fighting with any white in it, right? Or a minimal amount. And two, it tends to like bring back a rich color if you've bleached it out a little bit. And three, it tends to be translucent. So it can... you can lay it down in thin layers to blend, to help you blend. Yes, you'll have to rehighlight, but you won't necessarily need to rehighlight your transition. You'll probably need to rehighlight your highest colors. And part of this transition, yeah, you can see the lines. So I need to work on a little bit more. My Naga Green has gotten a little bit thick. Greens are usually, because they're so translucent, greens can be one of the easiest colors to layer with when you're talking about just vibrant colors. Alrighty, we're about to the end of the stream, so I'm going to finish up trying to blend this edge. But yeah, and it's like, throw a bunch of ideas out, ideate a lot. Start kind of putting things together. Don't let yourself pressure yourself. Just take a deep breath and tell yourself, I have all the time in the world for this. Nobody's looking at you. Nobody's waiting for it. Nobody knows the awesome thing that you want to do except us, but we're not going to pressure you about it. So take your time, deep breath, spew out ideas, have fun with the ideating, right? Then put it into structure, start saving some money, brainstorm about maybe sources of people who might want to invest in your gallery. Although, remember, investment also comes with a certain lack of control. And you owe that person. Oh, I see. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, 15 pounds, not enough, sorry. So yeah, that's a nice smooth. Notice how now I've been able to smooth it in. Thinned my paint a little bit more, and now we have a nicer blend there. So I'm going to put another layer of glaze on it. I'll go to a different brush for the glaze though. But yeah, the thing that has helped me the most in self-publishing is knowing that, except for you guys, but you're my friends, nobody's watching me. Nobody's judging what I'm doing. I'm just an author. People read my book. They decide if they like it, they move on. There's no pressure, right? I'm choosing to look at it that way because that takes the pressure off and I'm a happier Anne for it. So figure that out too. Figure out what your triggers are and how to work around them. You'll have a lot of self-doubt. You'll have a lot of moments where you're not sure this is what you should be doing. But remember that doing something is better than doing nothing. And if you try this and either it doesn't work or it works but you don't like it, you have options. At least you've done something. What is it? An imperfect plan executed perfectly is better than a perfect plan never executed? All right, so a little bit of a highlight on the edge here. Edge highlights can be useful in this case. They can pop things. Yep. Yeah, I mean, the wash will, because it's transparent, it'll help to blend in your brush strokes. Oh, yeah. Congrats to the quarter 2 winners. I didn't know that's true. There may be some of them on here. But yeah, usually if you got chalkiness on skin tones, especially, if you've got chalkiness with fair skin, for example, guys, take tan skin, thin it down into a glaze and put it over the top. Your chalkiness should disappear. You can do a wash or you can do a glaze, but it will help. So here we're still just a little bit chalky up on top. Also, I can put that glaze up there. Better to have a bad plan than no plan at all. Exactly. Better to execute on a bad plan than no plan at all. Do something. And if it doesn't work, you've got information and you can work from that. Alrighty. Sweet. Alright, I think that's where we're going to end. We're about 10 after. That's about right. Just kind of touching base on all this stuff. I feel like I've got a little bit of texture here, but I don't mind it. It's a pretty good blend. The hat's looking pretty, the hood's looking pretty good. I maybe went a little brighter here. I want to knock that down with a glaze. Well, that's why you want to save up some seed money. And you want to do a lot of research that you want a business plan that tells you how much money you're going to be investing, right? Because you don't want to do that. You want to figure out a way that you can sustainably do it, right? And a lot of people don't. They just want to do a thing. They don't think about sustainability, or they just hope, right? So yeah. That's why it's useful to talk to people who are already doing it if you can. Or to, just kind of price office space where you are, right? Office space out here is ridiculous. Falafel. Oh, I love that word. For one thing, falafel is one of the most fun words ever invented. And for two, they're tasty. Crows, I'm totally jealous. I did not gain any weight on our trip, you guys. I was so good. I stuck to diet. I didn't overeat. I still had really tasty stuff on one night because coconut cream pie. Actually, triple coconut cream pie. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. But yeah. That's funny, Volnavia. I'm all for it. Oh, dear. Oh, Crafty Creative has been discontinued. Aw. Do not have 100%. Okay. Fair. Tomorrow on Reaper Pro Tips, I have to figure out what the heck I'm doing. I need to like look through my Boxo miniatures. We are working on this lady tomorrow. I still have to highlight more of the leather. We got some really nice highlights on the boots last time. I really enjoy that. We did do some wood grain on the shield. Really, really understated. So I need to get the highlighting here on the other leather, and we haven't done the freehand. But I think I want to do everything else and then work on freehand, and we'll think about whether we want freehand actually on the cloak, although I really like the white. So we'll see. Once I put the freehand on the shield, it may demand at least a little border down here on the cape. So yes, like that. Oh crap, I just put in a GW order and I didn't order more snow flocking. Crap. And I don't know where my snow flock went. Crap. Double crap. Triple crap. Oh wait, there it is. Is it still alive? Wait, I have to determine if it's still alive. Are you still alive? Yes, you're still alive. I loaded water into it so it wouldn't, the Helen Blizzard for those who wonder. I really like this paste for snow, for quick snow effects. It's sculptable. For flock's sake. Yes, exactly. Yes. Alrighty, cool. Planning to catch up 2 in a row, but Justin had to go out of town. Yada, 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 yada. Okay. All right. So this is what we're back to tomorrow. So we're going from summer to winter. Very, very different color schemes, huh? Very different skin tones, very different color schemes. They're both redheads, but that's where it ends. Yeah, thanks everybody. I hope you have fun. It was really fun, Boots, talking to you about biz. Keep at it. You know, figure out the smallest actionable step at a time. Okay, so one last wisdom for you, Boots. One last one. This was big for me because I have a lot of resistance. I find it hard to take the steps sometimes. If you lower the bar for your next step enough, it will be easy to step over. So if you're looking at a task on your to-do list and feel instantly overwhelmed, break that into the next actual thing, a very tiny step. Like instead of, cultivate community on a miniatures community, make a list of miniatures communities. That's easy. Okay, so remember, if you ever feel resistance to at any level of your plan, it means that your step is too big and you've got to break it down to the next micro step. Once you have that list, then you can say, visit X community on the next day, right? Just visit. And then, read 20 posts in X community, right? Start interacting, interact with 3 posts on X community today, whatever. That kind of thing. Or just visit X community and rate it as far as a number 1 to 10 on how in line with your ideation it is, like your personality, that kind of thing. Do something like that. Keep your steps small, actionable, not too much. It will all add up. If you do 1 step every day for a month, that's 30 steps and you'll be amazed at what you've managed to do. All right, guys, we're done. I'm going to not make Quindy overwork again. I could go on about this. All right. Yes, we will see you. We'll see you tomorrow for the Friday edition, Friday the 14th. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you all for hanging out today, and I hope you have a great one. All right. We'll see you again.